So I didn't think you actually win though, because it was so I wasn't meant to.
So, psychic surgery demo. So I think we've got a person over there, if you'd like to. Well, I did promise you on day one, because you had a bad back, and you did fly with a bad back. It was only right, really, that you become the victim. I mean, not the victim, the client. Sorry. So we've got a nice
one area, or do you just do the whole body?
I don't do anything. I just put my hands on your stomach.
Focus on one area.
We'll focus on well, your back, I guess, is what you probably. Is it all right lying flat? Or would you rather? Yeah.
Do you want my shoes off?
Don't care. Whatever you want to do, I mean.
I'll see if I can.
This is male version of things. No sleeping and no snoring.
Alright.
That's the. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
You don't want your legs up?
Sure.
Do you want anything up over your legs?
No,
I can put another one of these under your legs if you want.
what do you have underneath?
It's just a flat cushioned bed, basically.
It'll be okay. I think, yeah.
We're only going to do 20 minutes, just as
Yeah,
a
no,
quick
it'll be
kind of
fine.
test. So, concept being then, folks, on the basis that obviously Leanne had a bad back before she came, there's obviously some, trauma and stuff in the discs, and I guess you've told everyone your back problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you all know that she had a back problem, basically.
I spoke about it on the first day.
Cool. Okay, so what we'll do soon. Yeah, you could, because I might look like some sort of bright person otherwise. Cool. So Leanne will find that because she's on the bed, magic couch, otherwise known as, they would have already started basically. So anything you feel, if you can just kind of let people know, which will,
Heavy, I guess.
cool. How do your legs and arms feel?
They're very still.
Okay. And in terms of your legs, do they feel very heavy, like you could or couldn't move them, or?
I could move them, but I feel like a little more pinned down.
Pinned down, perfect. So what's happening now, basically, so Chen and the team are giving Leanne spiritual, or we call it kind of spiritual psychic surgery anaesthetic, basically. So what they do is they anaesthetise the etheric field. So when you're having psychic surgery, obviously they're going to be working on the etheric. So at that point, they're basically giving you like an anaesthetic, so the etheric doesn't move, the same way that a surgeon would do in a normal hospital. They've got to give you an anaesthetic, then they can work on you. So the same thing's happening to Leanne now. She'll start to feel like she can move everything, just that you can't, because they're kind of giving you this anaesthetic. The etheric is being moved into that state effectively. So although you feel fine, you feel relaxed, I'm assuming you feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. Johnny, you couldn't just turn off the thingy, could you? Perfect. So I haven't done anything yet, obviously, stood to the right. So I haven't touched you. So so if you can describe what you're feeling now.
I feel like my back is straighter than normal, but I know it hasn't moved.
Okay.
I know that sounds.
So no pain.
No. Which is unusual, but
Which is good. Any movement inside your body? Not just around your back. So they'll be working across your etheric field. So anything they find, they'll start to work on, basically. So,
I've had all sorts of pains everywhere, and right now I don't have any pain.
okay, that's good. So if you can just put your hands down, I'm going to basically put my hands on your stomach.
Okay, sure.
And I didn't move after that. I'll try not to kick over Ben's microphone. So I'm just going to basically swap over to Chen. So he's going to come in and kind of take over. Good day to all. It's my pleasure to be able to meet and greet again for this particular exercise. So from my perspective, what you're actually watching here and engaging with is our version of psychic surgery. So psychic surgery is a name, a construct that obviously people may or may not be familiar with. The general concept is that a spiritual entity, in this case myself, Chen, possesses the physical body of the host, in this case Andrew, the person you know as Andrew. And then what we do is we make a physical connection to the client, in this case Leanne, as you can see on the bed. So as soon as Andrew places his hands on the client, that gives us the physical connection to the physicality, as well of course as the etheric field. So there are two ways that we could perform and demonstrate this from your perspective. we could obviously have Andrew stood to the side and I could continue to work without any involvement or connection physically to Leanne, the client. Or obviously I can place my hands upon the client, and that way I have a much stronger energy connection. And of course, from that perspective, we're able to work at a higher frequency. So everything from our perspective is about energy. The bigger the amount of energy we can move, the more healing we can assimilate into the client. So this is why we did this test a few weeks ago from a remote perspective. We, myself and my team, were able to connect two people in different geographical time zones and locations, and we were able to perform a type of healing on the etheric field. Now, as I know you're all aware, that was an experimental session to see if people could feel the work that we do. Some people are very sensitive, and as another energy comes into their space and their auric field, they can feel that. Other people, of course, are not so sensitive and would be unable to feel the things that happen. But from our perspective, regardless of whether you feel anything or not, we're still able to work. And this, of course, is the beauty of this type of healing work, effectively, is that no physical connection is really required. And as long as we have the client's permission and consent is granted, then a spiritual entity can basically perform a type of healing on the client's etheric field. So I'm just going to place my hands upon your stomach. So are you feeling okay, my dear? Hopefully you're feeling relaxed.
Very relaxed.
Which is nice. So from my perspective, what we do to start with is we give the client a spiritual anaesthetic, as young Andrew has already described, which normally, from my perspective, is people feel it to be an injection into the back of the neck, and a cold liquid runs down the spine, and that cold liquid is injected into the spinal column, which anaesthetises the etheric field. And from that perspective, then, we have a client that's unable to move from a spiritual perspective, from the etheric, of course. Would I be correct in saying, my dear, that you feel as though your whole body is now very heavy?
Very heavy, yeah.
Which is good. So, of course, but there's no pain. And, of course, this is the advantage of this type of work. We're engaging in psychic surgery, psychic meaning it's happening on the etheric field. So what we do is, at this point, we then open the etheric field. So my team and I elect to open the etheric to see what we can see inside, because of course the etheric field is a complete blueprint of the physical. So every disease, problem, symptom is manifested in the physical, but the problem, of course, must be there in the etheric. So this is where we start the work. We start to change the etheric and make that healing and make the surgical procedures. And then, of course, normally after maybe 3 to 4 days, sometimes 5 days, the vibratory change that we've made in the etheric is instrumented into the physical. So some people feel no difference after psychic surgery for a day or two. And then, of course, things start to move and shift. Now, if we had entities inside your etheric field, this is the starting point. So rather like the spirit release therapy that you're all engaged in here today, this is the starting point. We start with entities, because of course entities are the big problem, because of course they change the mindset of the person. People have intrusive thoughts, and of course they cause a number of issues. So we start at that level. So obviously the client in this case has no entities connected. So then we would move on basically to look for discarnate spirit in the same way that you're working from a spirit release therapy perspective. So again, we have no discarnate spirits connected, which we would be expecting to see if all of you have worked properly in the way that you're supposed to, because this is why you're here. So we have no entities connected, we have no discarnate spirit. If I find a discarnate spirit, we would engage in a conversation. I would ask them who they are, where they're from. We would ask them why they didn't pass into the light when they became deceased. And then we will facilitate removal into that higher frequency, otherwise known as the light from your perspective. And of course we move on to, again, looking inside that etheric. So we'd be looking for any type of implant, anything that's been put into the etheric that changes the vibration for the person. So at this point I'm looking for alien implants, some type of control devices, some type of occult practice, so maybe witchcraft, curses. So we roll all of those things into one. So very similar to the way that you're working from your protocol, you're going through a pre-orchestrated set of steps that have been designed over time to check each layer of vibration, find and clear what you see. We do the same from psychic surgery. Some clearing entities, we're clearing discarnate spirit, we're clearing intrusions and attachments and any type of control device. And then we get to a point that we're looking for portals. So again, entities leave portals in the etheric field. And of course, many clients open portals themselves, depending upon their mental capacity and mental state. So people that have some type of mental condition generally are able to talk using telepathy to other energies, and quite often they open portals in their etheric, which allows other things to come through. So once portals have been closed, we then move on to cordings. So again, we're looking for negative cords coming in or coming out of you. So if you've had an argument with someone today, there'll be a negative cord that we can find and detach. If people are sending you ill thought, ill will, there will be cords that come into your etheric field that we can basically review, find, and then again detach. So once cords have been cleared and removed, the vibration of the client starts to rise rapidly. And this, of course, is the object of the exercise from our perspective, is to get to a place that the etheric field is clear and clean, and then we start to look at what physical problems do we have to work on. And this is the point we've arrived now. So my team have been working quietly in the background on a number of problems. The top of your hips, obviously the slipped disc that you arrived with before, which we incidentally have been working on every day, without your knowledge, of course, but we did have your permission, my dear. So from your perspective, would you be able to provide your feedback? And of course, the other thing I have neglected to mention as yet is there's no pain, because you've had an anaesthetic. So we can make changes, we can move things inside the physicality, and you won't feel pain, which of course is the main advantage to spiritual surgery, as well as the fact there is no infectious disease contamination. So when normal surgeons open people up, bacteria, viruses enter into the bloodstream of the host, the client, and then of course you can manifest different types of bacterial infections. But with this method there is no physical physical opening of the actual skin and the body, because it's happening on the etheric field. So there is no possibility of any type of negative viral or bacterial problem. So sorry, my dear, I started there before you had time to speak.
Yeah, every day it's been getting much, much better, and right now I feel no pain at all.
Good, which is good.
Yes.
I will send you the invoice.
While you're at it, can you look at my neck? Because I've had that all my life, like a neck issue in my right foot.
Yes, and the top of your hips you have degradation. I don't know if you're aware at all.
No.
Okay, so that's being worked on at the same time. So from our perspective, this quick demonstration shows you how we perform psychic surgery. And of course, if you can see that we can assimilate this into a remote configuration whereby we don't need to be working hands-on with a person. And this is possible because of the frequency changes in the planet. This planet's vibration is rising quickly, and it means we're able to do things that we could not do before. And this, of course, is the key. And this is why we wanted to try the experiment not so long ago, to work on people from a spiritual team perspective that are sat in their homes in different time zones and geographical locations, to see if they could actually notice change. So from our perspective, the vibration here, we think now has assimilated itself to a point that we can start working with you from a spiritual perspective. So you connect with us, we perform work. So this type of work is going to become quite commonplace. And all of you, of course, are in a position that you can do it, because you're connecting to a guide. Whether you have a connection to the guide in the way that young Andrew and Jono do, so you can actually hear them, or whether you just put thoughts up to ask things to happen, you will be able, by the time you leave here, to be able to do this type of thing. And we would encourage you to practice, to find victims, I mean clients, especially family and friends that are happy to have this type of work done. And you could start off by just placing your hands upon their stomach in the way that we are here.
It feels like your hands are inside my stomach.
Yes, there are.
But it feels very numb, like it's somebody else's stomach.
Yes, and can you feel movement?
Yes.
Yes, and the movement, how does that feel? As though someone's pulling something?
Yes.
Yes. Interesting. So of course this is effectively the way that psychic surgery will progress. So you're all in a position now to do this work. Your guides have been connected to myself, my team and Whitehawk in spirit, and therefore they're on the biggest learning curve, the same as you, because of course these are new techniques, new practices, new things that we're evolving as a team, and we're expecting you to start to work in this way. So this is new thinking aloud, as Jeffrey would say. Terence's friend Jeffrey Mishlove has, I think, a website or something that he says new thinking aloud. And this is what's we've been pushing Andrew and Jono to discuss with you from day one, is that all of the old methods of doing things must change. So we must break the concept of hours for money. We must break the concept of physical things, because the physicality isn't required to make change in people. So we can do this work remotely. We can connect to people whilst they sleep. And this is generally the way that I tend to work. If I'm working on a client that has complex problems, we will resolve the majority of problems in the session, and then when they next go to sleep, we will ask the team to visit, and we will continue the work in their sleep state. Because of course the sleep state means that the conscious mind is turned off, and therefore the subconscious is active, which brings online telepathy. And therefore we can be taking the client through a type of dream state using telepathy, or we can astrally project their body out of the physical whilst we perform changes and then bring them back into it before they wake up. So the dream state for us is a perfect opportunity to be able to make some of these changes that we would struggle to make really in person. But of course they can be made remotely whilst you're sleeping. And therefore, again, of course, there's no viral infection problem, and of course there's no pain, because obviously you're effectively, as young Jono keeps reminding you, animals. Some more animalistic than others, of course. But from that perspective, you have a physical anatomy, and the physical anatomy comes with nerve endings and a nervous system, and of course that means that you have pain. That's the way you're designed and built. So from our perspective, astrally projecting the etheric out of the physical means we can make changes whilst you're not actually in that space, and therefore you don't feel pain. So this is the way that we propose to continue working with you all as we move forward. So from my perspective, we have actually finished. Hopefully you're feeling as though you're not quite so pinned down to the bed now. The anaesthetic should be wearing off. So could you just give us your very quick opinion, my dear? I know this was quite fast and quite quick.
Yeah. It felt like my body was more like that size, and like your hands were in like old-fashioned washing machine, and things were going round and round and round, but it was very numb, like it wasn't like my body. It was like numb, like it was, the sense was different, but you were stirring me like round and round.
It's a very eloquent explanation, thank you. So from my perspective, obviously I'll bring young Andrew back, who again is waiting in the wings to take control of the physicality, but hopefully from this very quick demonstration and conversation that we've elected to have together, you're able to see the roadmap that we keep talking about, and the roadmap that we're taking basically with all of you if you elect to join us. We're looking at remote work, remote healing, remote surgery, different names, doing the same things, changing the vibration of people that are suffering is the actual end goal, of course. And when we do that, we obviously make change to their vibration, which then, as you know, changes the planet. So there are two things that we're engaged in here: the physical suffering removal, and obviously the movement into a happier place for people that are suffering. And that, of course, then, as a side effect, essentially changes the vibration of the person, which then changes the vibration of the planet. So I will say good day to you all. It's been my humble, what shall we say, what's the right wording? Thanks, I guess, to be able to do this in this way. And I know that you're very short of time and things are moving onwards, and much of you probably wish you could be here for another 3 or 4 weeks, because there's so much that we could cover. So time is obviously of the essence, but of course you all have physical problems with physical time, and that we respect. So from my personal perspective, the team, and of course young Terence who's here, we would like to congratulate you on your progress. This has been, from our perspective, a huge success. And we will be working with you all as you leave here, and we will be working as a co-joined team and community working forward. So I would like to say thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
need some psychic surgery?
Yeah.
Okay, no,
I'll do it now.
over to you.
Can I get up?
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah. That was incredible.
Good.
I was like, I was
No. Well, that's the thing. Unless you've actually had it, you don't know what kind of coming, do you?
yeah. I don't have words for it. Yeah.
That's good.